477.
With the power of Tandem HR, you are in the fast lane on Main Street with Get Down to Business with Shalom Klein, the show for business and jobs. Now, the champion of networking, the advocate of jobs, the guru of business, your host, Shalom Klein.
We are all about small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship and business. We talk a lot about business here. You are on with Get Down to Business, and I'm your host, Shalom Klein. Remember, you can always download podcasts from Get Down to Business on my website at shalomklein.com. And while you are there, don't forget to follow me on Twitter at Shalom Klein. It's going to be a jam-packed week of content and information you will not want to miss. It is a jam-packed show, and it's a live show. You could call us at 312-642-5600, 312-642-5600. We are powered by our good friends at Tandem HR, your solution center. You can find them online, beautiful new website, tandemhr.com, or give them a call, 630-928-0510, 630-928-0510. So on Get Down to Business, we talk all about how to present yourself properly, how to have your brand, how to tell your story, and there's nobody that knows how to do that better than our first guest on Get Down to Business tonight. I'm joined here in studio by Sheldon Helfgot, the president of the Shell Group, and you've helped many tens of thousands of people. That's correct, tens of thousands of people tell their story. Sheldon, it's an honor and privilege to have you on the program. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks so much, Shalom. Pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. So let's start with your background. You could start by telling your story. How did you end up in this line of work, and why are you so passionate about it?
Well, for over 20 years, I was in the apparel industry, both wholesale and retail. And during that period of time, you transition. Lines end, retail stores end. As you see today, the big boxes are closing. And one of my very, very good friends, who was the head of all retailing on the West Coast, said to me, "Why don't you have your resume done professionally?" I said to him, "I didn't know there was such a thing as that type of company." I went and did it, and I liked it so much. I was the Victor Kayam story with the Schick shaver. I bought the company, and that's how they started the Shell Group.
So on the high end, what kind of individuals are you dealing with? I guess what's the spectrum? What kind of people that are in transition are you speaking with? I know you've worked with tens of thousands of people. Who are you helping, and who are you helping tell their stories?
The stories are told for everybody. Everybody needs to have a brand. Certainly, I'll work with somebody just out of college, and that's really a pleasure to do that because they're a client of mine for the rest of their lives. But in today's marketplace, and particularly with our location in Deerfield, we have every major Fortune 500 company within presence of our office, and senior-leveled executives in transition is a big focus of what we do today.
Absolutely. So resumes, is that the only thing that somebody in transition needs, or do they need more help than that?
Everybody who sits in the seats, and I've worked with over 10,000 clients, have the same needs. Number one is that their best friend will say, "Well, get me your resume. I'm going to help you in your transition." Number two, in today's times, typically they need a bio sheet. They need to have, the most important area of all, a LinkedIn profile.
So for folks that have an impressive, for lack of a better term, resume, that have an impressive bio and bit of experience, right, but they haven't been in the job search for a while, maybe they're not yet in the job search, do you recommend having the work done so they have their story written out in written form?
First of all, it always starts from the story. You have to have a story. You have to be comfortable in telling that story. So we work with them both from interview profiling to job selection. There's not an area which we would call outplacement to help them in their transition. Even a person who's gainfully employed needs to always have a resume ready to go. You never know what day that recruiter is going to find them and say, "I've got something for you. Send me your resume."
We're chatting with Sheldon Helfgot, the president of the Shell Group, a true go-to on career guidance, as well as a master networker. And certainly we're getting many fantastic tips over here. But Sheldon, when folks see a resume that you worked on, is there a Sheldon seal of excellence? How do you make your mark on people's stories?
It's a style, both in formatting, both in verbiage, as well as the story that they tell. Very typically, most people will come to me and they'll have a resume that I would call done in a funnel style. It's very wide and it narrows to the final aspect of saying references are available upon request. It's really not the style that I like to do. People talk about doing two things, both chronological resume and functional resume. I like to combine both function and chronological order in a resume, where I set the hooks with keywords, because in today's times, versus a person or a human being reading your resume, computers are reading them, and you have to have keywords within the search.
Absolutely. So what about size of a resume? You mentioned that you're working with folks that might be right out of college, as well as accomplished executives like you were when you were leaving your professional positions, and you worked on your resume. What was the size of your resume when you started looking?
Great. Mine was typically a 2-page resume.
Okay.
People just out of college, for the most part, unless they have tremendous amount of activities and internships, they are a 1-page resume. But senior level executives with 3 or 4 jobs over the period of time in a functional style, they're going to have 2 pages. Anytime you see more than that, it's called a curriculum vitae, and that's really for the educational component and or medical.
Okay, very interesting. So, so far we've heard from Sheldon Helfgot, again, the president of the Shellrite Group, a lot of the do's of the resume. What about the don'ts? What are the things that you've seen and you just shake your head and say, did that really just happen?
Well, more importantly is that most people think that putting duties and responsibilities is doing themselves a favor. The reality is there is no recruiter out there that hires you for duties and responsibilities. No company will. They want accomplishments, and therefore we try to build the accomplishment base, because that's what I'm buying. A person, if you could do it for them, you certainly could do it for our company.
The old adage is it's not what you know, it's who you know. And I know you are certainly a very experienced master networker, I'll put it that way, and you have met many thousands of people. And then the beautiful thing about your work, Sheldon, is that you have stayed in touch with so many people, and your reputation is stellar. But what advice do you have for our listeners that might be getting out there? Maybe they're recently in transition. Maybe they're starting to put some feelers out there. They're starting to think about other opportunities that might be out there. How can they network? What advice do you have about meeting people beyond the resume?
That is a great question to ponder. So people come in and they say, I need a new job. I'm working for home. I'm working, I don't have time. But I must tell you, you must make time. Where we used to wait 20 years ago for the Chicago Sunday Tribune to come out with their job section's down to 2 pages in today's times. The number one way to find your next job, and 90% of people find it, is through networking.
Absolutely. Networking really does make an impact. And so I know that actually your office is a fantastic place for networking because of the people that you are so closely affiliated with. But tell us a little bit about some of your suggested networking venues. How, if somebody doesn't know about networking, where can they start?
You always start online. And throughout the Chicagoland area, whether it's the Chamber of Commerce in your own neighborhood that has literally hundreds of businesses that are participants within the Chamber of Commerce. There's many other great networking groups, and certainly if your listeners will get in touch with me, I'd love to put them in touch with even our own networking group, which is the Masterminds.
Absolutely. And speaking of online networking, LinkedIn is obviously critical. And Sheldon, does your services include LinkedIn profile writing and cleanup?
100%.
Absolutely. And actually, interestingly enough, later in the program, we'll be talking with John Weber, who I connected with through LinkedIn. So LinkedIn really is the best way to maintain relationships. But as I always say, it's a tool. It's a tool, not a replacement for the in-person stuff.
And if you'll notice, that tool has changed over the last few weeks.
Oh, yeah.
The company has been sold to Microsoft. They've changed the whole look of the profile, the manner of how you will connect with people, and they want it really to be a money generation company for themselves, whereas more it was a participant in the past.
Well, that's why you need to talk to Sheldon Helfgot, because he stays abreast of the changes and can help you stand out, whether it's a resume, LinkedIn, or just professional career guidance. Sheldon, your knowledge is impressive, and surely our listeners will want to learn more about your services and your work. How can people get a hold of you?
Very simply, my main number is 847-253-5333. For texting purposes, 847-814-6603. And my website is resumestrategy.com.
Oh, that says it all, resumestrategy.com. Sheldon Helfgot of the Shellwright Group, thank you so much for joining us here on Get Down to Business. Would love to pick your brain on advice in the future. Coming up after this very quick break, we got more tips, advice, and information. You're listening to the show all about small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship. Get Down to Business, and we'll be right back after these quick messages.